So, as of the time of recording this, I have 1,650 hours in Civ 6, which, yes, is a total waste of time, and I do not advise anyone does it to that level. But I've played a lot of Civ 6, I've played a lot of Deity, and I can honestly say, I think that when Babylon is released, Babylon being the new Civ on the Frontier Pass, it is literally going to turn the game on its head. It's going to be absolutely mad. Now, we don't know quite how overpowered Babylon is going to be on a scale of, is it going to rank with the best civs in terms of being able to be specialized, and there are particular techniques and strategies that may really refine Babylon to the needle spear point that'll charge through the game and be incredibly effective. And we don't know if it's going to be like that, or if they will just be plain overpowered, like downloading the Gabe Noel Steam Leaders patch that they had on Civ 5. Do anyone remember that on Civ 5 Steam Workshop? There used to be the Gabe civilization that just basically was cheating. It was hilarious. I'd go check it out if I were you. But that's the thing, Babylon may be game breaking in the right hands. I don't think it's going to be cheating. I think it's going to take a very specialist pair of hands to play it well. I would go so far to say that Babylon is going to be a very weak Civ with those who don't really, I wouldn't even say know what they're doing, more those that aren't willing to really put the thought into how they play. But I think Babylon is going to be one of those civs where in the hands of somebody who overthinks a game, the real chess players, the real analysts, I think it could get silly. I mean, reading through the stuff that there's been announced, the replacement watermill, even the unique unit just looks a little bit weird, to be honest, and the ability to get the 3 building in the first district as well as an envoy, all that stuff is good, and I'm not going to go into that because there are little bits and pieces that may work really well on that stuff, like, you know, a 3 workshop in an industrial zone, a 3 market in a commercial hub, a 3 library in a campus, a shrine in a holy site. All these have got really cool sort of stacking effects, but that's not we're not here to talk about that, let's be honest. Eurekas provide all of the science for technologies, but they decrease the amount of science generated per turn by 50%. So Babylon is rubbish at being without focus, just using science to go through the tech tree, but it is brilliant at using Eurekas, which suddenly go from 40% to 100% of the science cost. That's mad. And quite frankly, if I was a fan of China on this game, I would be disturbed and horrified. You can see this is pre-Babylon being released. I'm looking forward to seeing how wrong or right my estimations of this are once Babylon gets released. But here's how I think it's going to go, and these are some of the strategies I think that are going to work really well with Babylon. But to make sense of the strategies that will work, I think it's worth talking about what I think won't work really quickly. You all will have been in a situation where you pick a particular civ that has a very narrow focus of what they're good at, and you play a game that is over the top and specific and really focused on one particular thing. It's, for instance, like playing as Germany and only ever building Hansa districts, or playing as Korea and only building the replacement campus districts they've got, or Russia and only putting down the lava holy site districts. Babylon is going to be one of those things where if you try and do too many things, it's going to fall apart very quickly. But equally, if you go too focused, I don't think it's going to work, because the tech tree is huge. It's absolutely huge, and we've got to be really careful that we're doing the right stuff here. I think Babylon will work well where you have a chain of techs that fold together, that stack together like a set of dominoes, and when you get one, you get all of them. Or the path opens up and it's really easy to sort of go through the chains of them. I think they're going to fall apart when either you try and do too many things at once, or you rely on anything that uses the civic tree. Remember, Babylon don't get the same 100% boost to civics. It's only science they do that, only Eurekas. Civics, you've still got to get the culture. You've still got to earn these things just day in, day out, getting your culture, building all of these policies. It's going to take a long time. This is going to be, Babylon are no better at producing culture than any other civ. Well, I'd say that they have a little bit more, because they have a few extra envoys to throw into culture civ states, and you get the 3 amphitheatres for the first theatre square that you build. So, you know, there is some stuff there, I get that, but Babylon are really no better at getting culture. So I think the best strategies are going to work for them where they're only tech tree related. Because of that, I don't think they're going to be great at religious victories. I mean, this is massively with a disclaimer that I genuinely believe that every civ can win any victory type in the right hands, with the exception of Congo and religious victories. Okay, don't get at me on that. I know the Congo are in the game. I've been caught on that before, but I genuinely think anybody can do anything. And I think there is a huge amount to be said in Civ 6 for using a civ, their strength, their unique selling point to cover their weaknesses rather than focusing on it as their strength. Korea, for instance, are a brilliant cultural city-state or civ where you focus on building theatre squares. That's all you do with Korea, just get theatre squares, theatre squares, theatre squares. Go for the culture victory, and then you use the unique science district to cover the hole in science that has been left rather than focusing on it. So I think there's a lot to be said to that, but I don't think Babylon are going to be very good at religious victories. And apart from the free shrine you get when you do the holy site, a lot of the stuff is stuck in the civic tree. I mean, yeah, it's not stuck far in the civic tree, to be fair. This is only in the classical era theology where you can get temples and scripture, and the Reformed Church is only in the Renaissance era. So, you know, it's not particularly unhooked, but I don't think they're going to be great. A diplomatic victory, yes, you get a few more envoys. If you're relying on 4 or 5 envoys to get a diplomatic victory, you're getting it wrong, because the diplomatic victory, yes, suzerains are good and city-states are good, but that you can't rely on them. That's not how you get a victory like that. You do it via religion and getting pagodas. You do it by jumping in on the World Congress to make sure that you jump on other people's stuff. Babylon are going to be no better at diplomatic victories than anything else. So science, culture, domination. Culture, there are some good ideas here. There are some cultural buildings that are stuck in the tech tree, such as the radio, but then again, look, build a national park. That relies on you getting conservation, I believe, which is way down here in the modern era. So, I mean, are they better at getting culture? I don't think Babylon are, as I say, I'm willing to be proven wrong on this, but there's nothing here that strikes me as being super special. Science, obviously, Babylon have got some opportunities to jump through the science tree really quickly. If you get this Eureka boost right, if you jump through here, honestly, you can do some amazing things. And we're going to talk about some of the combinations here, but domination as well. Science and domination, I think, are going to be the two. Those are the two that I think are going to win you the game. And probably more domination. So, should we have a look at some of the tactics? These are other things I think that are going to work really, really well with Babylon. See if you agree with me. So we've mentioned before, Babylon is going to work well when you're not relying on the civic tree. If there's anything in the civics that relies on you being able to do something or not being able to do something, it's not going to work, right? So if you've got a policy, for instance, that basically involves you going down the naval raider promotion class, where privateers are the first ones you can get, well, that's stuck way into the Renaissance era in the civic tree. You're going to take a long time to get to that. Yeah, Babylon can culture just like anybody can, but there's no particular rush or ability to get down there quickly. No, it's going to work best when it's just the tech tree. I actually think Babylon are going to be an amazing naval civ. It sounds ridiculous, but I honestly think on an archipelago map like the one I've just loaded here, can I just say, what a ridiculous start for England, by the way. Oh, this is a Petra or nothing start, and the sort of one I love to do. But for instance, I come to here, I've covered a couple of mountains, we've got a nice coast here, so already I'm thinking there's a lovely, maybe a +3 campus with a harbour, or there's a +3 campus here, for instance, with the mountains and everything. So I'm like, yep, fine, we'll settle, we'll get the desert stuff. Eureka, knowledge of sailing is advanced. Already, Babylon would have sailing. Okay, so sailing is now done. So what does that unlock? That unlocks you going down the naval naval melee tree. Galleys, 30 strength, pretty damn tough. These are pretty good. Could we do something with that? If from turn 1 you have galleys, is that a strategy? Yes. I honestly think the naval melee tree is brilliant. Because what do these upgrade to? These upgrade to caravels. And caravels sit down in cartography. And cartography is very, very easy to get to. Cartography is all the way over here. But that just involves building 2 harbours. So where do harbours live? Harbours live here. Improve 2 sea resources. Okay, how do I get sea resources? Sailing. So you settle on a coast. You immediately, from turn 1, go, right, I'm going to have a builder. You get your builder, and say, for instance, these crabs and that amber. You work both of those. That suddenly gives you 2 improved sea resources. Right, okay, great. That means I can build a Royal Navy dockyard from day 1, or if Babylon, you're just a regular harbour. So what does that do? Well, if I build 2 harbours, then that goes to cartography. And even then, maybe you know, the problem is that caravels require 240 production as opposed to 65 production. 240 production is absolutely ridiculous, right? Realistically, you're only going to be able to save enough gold up to promote one of these things. Probably, I mean, let's face it, a 55 strength unit here is going to absolutely smash through a city. You'll be a domination powerhouse. You know, nothing will stop you. You guys must have seen the effectiveness of the Vikings and the Viking longship. That thing's only got 35 strength. Imagine what a 55 strength unit's going to be, even if you've only got 1. So building 2 harbours, I think it's not difficult. You build a builder, and then you get a settler immediately. Right? That's not that tricky. And own 2 galleys. Well, quite frankly, from turn maybe 10 onwards, you immediately jump hand here into foreign trade. Foreign trade gives you the maritime industries card. That means you can build naval units at double the speed. You build 2 galleys, suddenly you've boosted shipbuilding. That allows all land units to embark. Once you've got 2 harbours, that involves everybody going over ocean tiles. Already you're on ocean tiles. I reckon you can probably do that in maybe 30, 40 turns. And if you're getting 6 gold per turn, and you've got at least 1 harbour. In fact, we will have built 2 harbours because we've got 2 cities with 2 harbours, and those harbours have at least plus 4 gold between them coming in because you put them next to the, you know, your city. You've got enough gold to put a caravel together. I honestly think the naval melee charge at the beginning is going to be a really, really strong thing. You focus on getting a couple of quadmarenes or galleys or whatever it is, building 2 harbours, improving 2 sea resources. It's all very linked. And let's extrapolate. Ironclads. Ironclads are a little bit further down. They are the next promotion. They are 70 strength. Now these require coal. Coal is difficult because coal is industrialization. Okay, so already we're beginning to, unlike the caravel, which is basically just following this one little thought pattern down, suddenly going down here to ironclads is a little bit more tricky because we've got to get 2 shipyards and we've got to have coal in order to fuel them. So to get coal, we need industrialization to reveal it. We need 3 workshops. To get a workshop, we need apprenticeship. To get apprenticeship, we need 3 mines. That's it. That's literally it. And that builds you an industrial zone. You know? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 hill tiles just in 1 capital. That would give me industrialization. And that's it. That's suddenly, apprenticeship, and I can build an industrial zone. I've got 2 cities because I needed 2 cities to get to harbours, and maybe I build a 3rd city. Each one of those builds itself a workshop, and suddenly, bam, I'm down here. Building a workshop's not tricky. It's you know, you've got a few units and scattered around. If you're focused on it, you should be able to do it maybe within 70 turns or so, and you're in industrialization. So, I think it's really possible. This has got some options. But then, okay, fine, right, build 2 shipyards. Where do shipyards live? Well, shipyards live here in mass production. How do I do that? Build a lumber mill. Well, lumber mills are way down here in construction. How do I get construction? Build a water mill. Water mills are only here in minor resource, which is only down here. So I've only actually got to research 1 tech. I research 1 tech, I put down 1 mine on any resource. Okay, I haven't got a resource here, so let's just extrapolate how long this takes. Don't forget, I'm going to have a 2nd city, right? I will build myself a 2nd city. We'll have a quick peek round. What's going to happen now is there's going to be absolutely no mineable resources in the area, just to really annoy me, because, you know, this is just going to be what happens. But all we've got to do is find one mineable resource, be it a luxury, a strategic, anything. Stone? Rapa Nui? There you go, stone. So stone is here. I've just got to put one mine down on that, which involves me moving a settler all the way up to here and going plonk with a builder. And that would give me wheel. I build the watermill to get myself construction. I use another builder. I only need 2 builders at the moment, actually, maybe 3. So what do I need? I need 2 improved sea resources and 1 mine. That's the first builder. And then I need 1 lumber mill and then 2 more mines. So I only need 2 builders to do this thing. Right? That's all it is. That's all it is. I build a watermill, I'm on construction. I build the lumber mill and I'm on mass production. I build 2 shipyards. 2 shipyards is difficult, but don't forget, I've already got 2 harbours because I needed that to get to cartography. I build 2 harbours and suddenly I'm on steam power, and those 70 strength ironclads, I mean, even if the AI has a 50 strength Renaissance wall city, 70 strength ironclad? Seriously, that's going to absolutely wreck. Destroyers, I think, unfortunately, are going to be a step too far, because armies and armadas, well, these live in the civic tree. We can't get to those in any other way. So I think steam power rush is going to be a good idea. I think this is possible. I think this is really, really possible. But maybe we're not on a naval map. Maybe we want to do something that involves melee units. So let's have a look down at the melee units, because again, there are some hilarious combinations here. Right, first of all, we start with archery. Kill a unit with a slinger. Well, guess what? I can build a slinger from turn 1. So I build a slinger, I go find a city-state or even a barbarian, but it could be a city-state, and I declare war on it, and I kill 1 unit, just a single unit, and suddenly I have archer. I get an archer, I build an archer. Great, but look at this. Machinery, all the way down in the medieval era, own 3 archers. That's it. All I've got to do is build 3 slingers and upgrade them all, and suddenly I have crossbows. Crossbows have range strength of 40. You could do this very quickly. Very, very quickly. Even a single crossbow would absolutely decimate this one city-state down here. And all I would have to do in order to do that would be to go slinger, 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 have a look down, go to craftsmanship in order to get a gogi to build the slingers quicker, save up a bit of gold, maybe mine a resource or a strategic, sell it to the AI, upgrade your slingers to archers, and hey presto, ba-dum, machinery. Even better, let's say when you are killing things with your slingers in order to get the archers, you kill a barbarian. Brilliant, you've killed a barbarian, great for you. Maybe you kill 3 barbarians because there are loads of barbarians, or maybe you've put yourself into a situation where you farm barbarians, but junk. Bronze working, done. Kill 3 barbarians. That gives you a spearman. So, what can you do with a spearman? Well, kill something with it. As soon as you kill something with a spearman, badunk, there's a pikeman. No resources needed. Simple promotion, just spend your money, get a single pikeman, 41 strength. But it gets even better. Metal casting. Renaissance era, own 2 crossbowmen, which we've already done. Because we needed to, the 2 are tied. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. Like, one leads to the others. We're killing barbarians with our archers, we've got a spearman, and now suddenly we have a pike and shot. That's got 55 melee strength, and not a single piece of strategic resource needed. No niter, no iron, no horses, nothing. It just is. Now, I think it may even be possible to go all the way to modern anti-tank. I really do, because this own 3 tanks is tricky, but with a lot of gold and a lot of pillaging, it's possible. We'll talk about that in a second, but even just this rush up to pike and shot, I think is going to be an incredibly effective strategy. Incredibly effective. But hey, maybe spearmen aren't your thing. It doesn't matter, because you've killed 3 barbarians, you've found iron, you stick an iron mine down, and hey, you've got iron working. Let's get yourself a swordsman. Now, these things require iron, so you do have to settle on some iron, or at least go and work some iron, which, okay, don't forget Babylon, yes, they're rubbish at researching stuff, but they can still build things, you can still get settlers and workers and build yourself some iron, so we can get ourselves a swordsman. Well, what from there? Well, the upgrade to swordsman lives in gunpowder. Build an armory. Build an armory is tough. That's really tough because that requires a couple of things. That involves you... Oh, no, wait, hang on. No, bronze working. Again, all roads lead to bronze working. Stick an encampment down. Great. Wonderful. Get yourself a barrack. Brilliant. How do I get an armory? Well, where do armories live? Okay, military engineering. Aqueduct. Where do aqueducts live? Oh, engineering. Build an ancient wall. Where does that live? Oh, in masonry. Build a quarry. Badonk. There's some stone. I may have inadvertently said minor resource earlier. I don't think stone gives you minor resource. I think it gives you masonry instead. So you may actually have to go and find some iron to do that. But I think, generally speaking, the point still stands. Masonry, build a quarry. Hooray! Wonderful. We've built a quarry. That means we can build a single ancient wall. That means I can get to engineering. I build a single aqueduct. Suddenly, I'm up to here in military engineering. I build an armory. Badunk! I'm up to musketmen, and also I found niter at the same time. I mean, do you see the theme here? Like, so many of these chains are very possible because they don't actually require anything silly. These are all linked. The silly thing is if you can actually afford 3 musketmen, immediately there's an infantry. That thing has 70 strength, which is nuts. Oil is difficult to get your hands on, but building 2 coal power plants just involves you having 3 workshops, which involves you having 3 mines, which is easy to do. So this is going to require a lot of handling, but I mean, that's like 1,100 science immediately just earned, and you can jump right down to replaceable parts and you can upgrade a single inventory, I think, really, really quickly. Unfortunately, again, you can't take it to mechanized inventory because that thing requires a very specific great scientist. That's going to be tricky to get to. Anti-tank crews, unfortunately, are really tricky because they require level 2 alliances as well. But field cannons, the upgrade to crossbows, well, I mean, that's easy. Build 2 forts. We have a fort because we've got armories. Armories let you build military engineers. You build 1 military engineer, just one, and that lets you put 2 forts down, which immediately sticks you into ballistics. You can get a field cannon. 60 range strength on a city is insane. Absolutely insane. Now, again, unfortunately, advanced ballistics to get to machine gun is tricky because that's 2 oil power plants and that involves privateers. And privateers, unfortunately, live in the civic tree, in mercantilism, which isn't very good. But, so, I mean, already I think we've got a strategy to get to caravels, to pike and shots, to muskets, and to field cannons pretty easily. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with anything there, really. So what do you avoid? Well, I think the heavy cavalry promotion tree is one to avoid, personally, because yes, you can get heavy chariots and they're fine, but in order to get knights, which is the improvement, you need the feudalism civic, not good. And then it's going to take ages to get a knight, which means you won't kill anything with it, which means you can't get to cavalry. Cavalry are strong, admittedly quite strong. Courses are not, and again, courses involve you getting a government with 6 inheritance policies. Again, that's a civic thing, so that's not very good. Catapults, on the other hand, though, they're easy to do because you've just got to build an ancient wall, which involves you having a quarry. So that's really easy to do. And then bombards, well, we've already talked about metal casting. That's just earning 2 crossbows. And niter we found because we built a single aqueduct. So, I mean, that's in engineering as well. So I think if you pick a couple of these trees, the naval melee or maybe the siege tree, whatever it may be, and you focus on it, that'd be good. That'd be really easy. Even frigates. That's killing a unit with a musket. Okay, it's going to take a little while to get to it because you've actually got to build the musket, but by the time you've built the musket, you've got niter, so you can do that. And, I mean, they're really good. And then refining, yeah, battleships are tough, but they only require coal, and coal is only industrialization. Yeah, interesting, really interesting. So, there we are. Melee, anti-cavalry, melee, naval, siege, all of those things are good. Ranged, avoid cavalry. Avoid light and heavy cavalry, because Babylon are not going to deal very well with them at all. But districts are going to be your friend as Babylon. because you want to build one district of every type. You meet somebody, that's writing, build the campus. You'll get an immediate library, you'll get some great scientists. Great scientists are going to be amazing. Have you seen how many things? Boost through great scientists, boost through great scientists, boost through great scientists. You may not need scientists at the beginning of the game, but it will help because Babylon will be brilliant with them, but you will need them at the end of the game. Because none of these are civic stuff. Everything from maybe the atomic era onwards is going to be really tricky for Babylon to Eureka consistently. So Babylon may actually be really bad at science. It depends. It depends how lucky you are and how good a science alliance you've got in order to get Eurekas on this, and depends if you can build the Oxford University, which, I mean, they're going to have a problem with, to be fair, because you don't have any way of getting down this tree. There's the great library, receive a tech boost. This is what I'm talking about, sorry. Great library, receive a random tech boost when another player recruits a great scientist. You build that. That's about 10 free techs over the course of the game. So that wonder is just like, it's just a must. You have to get that. It's too good. But let's say you build a campus, yeah? That immediately puts a library in the first campus you build. You build a second one, which means you've got 2 campuses and 2 libraries. You get yourself a great scientist from it because you've built it really quickly. And hey presto, that's a university down immediately. You build a university, or maybe 2 universities in Kajunk. Printing down here, astronomy for building one next to mountain. That's like 2 more techs for you right there. I mean, oh, beautiful. Commercial hubs, really easy. Make a trade route. Well, guess what? Trade routes are on foreign trade, which is the second civic that you can do. Get yourself a trader, send it to another person, and hey presto, you can build commercial hubs with the 3 market down immediately. Or maybe you did 2 sea resources. You can go bonk, get your Royal Navy dockyard down, which will immediately give you the lighthouse, which is all the food you could ever want, and gives you the trader route, and off you go. Get yourself that industrial zone. Puts immediately the workshop down, which is the first workshop you need in order to get the 3 workshops for industrialization. Done. The encampment. That single encampment means that the barracks will automatically populate in them. You get yourself the armory, and suddenly, boom, gunpowder, immediately earned. I mean, Babylon, I don't know how good they're going to be in the information era, but they are going to be the medieval, Renaissance, and modern era absolute just beasts. Like, from in the military tree, from like the sort of medieval era onwards, right through to industrial and into the sort of beginnings of the modern era. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really, really, really good. And I think even artillery they can push towards. Build a coal mine. Well, you got that from industrialization. That's really easy to do. Build an ironclad. Well, we've spoken about getting 2 shipyards before. That's not that difficult. So what are your downfalls as Babylon? Well, production is going to be the big problem. If you're earning from maybe turn 30, you had a really lucky roll and you've already got caravels. You can't afford them because you've got no gold and no production. You only need 1. Just have 1 superpowered unit. Has anybody ever played the game where you're the only person to be getting great admirals and you get yourself that 3 ironclad whilst everybody else is still swimming around in quadriremes? That ironclad is an absolute machine. And this is exactly the same technique. This is a great example as well. Get yourself the first great scientist, which provides a 3 library, yeah? In your capital, with Pingala, you stuck down a campus, which means you've got a Pingala campus with a library. That's 6 great scientist points per turn. You win yourself the first great scientist, which gives you the extra library. That means that you immediately go to universities, can build 2 universities to get to printing, which gives you another level of diplomatic visibility, which is a combat bonus. Oh, this is going to be so good. And that just scratches the surface. That is literally just a quick whirlwind tour of just some of the possibilities available to you. Just some of them. I think Babylon, if you think about it, and if you put a real good plan together, I think you could go far. I mean, even rangers build a niter mine. A niter you get from building an aqueduct. An aqueduct you get from building ancient walls, and that's to build a quarry. That's a really easy train. But you start attacking people with horsemen, with your ranger unit. That's really difficult to kill. That's amazing. Yeah, I can't wait for people to jump down, go for the industrialization 3 musketmen into infantry and just start charging people with infantry and battleships on turn like 100. Even if you've got 1 battleship and 1 infantry, that would be enough to send most people packing. So, yeah. I think Babylon are going to be good. But we'll see. Well, should we see how accurate my prediction is? Because I'm looking forward to playing them, but who knows what they're going to be like. Who knows, eh? And please, if you've got any comments or you've got any other thoughts of yourselves, because I have not mentioned everything. I have literally just skimmed over it. Either leave a comment on this video or come find us on Discord. We're having a great chat about this right now. It's going to be really interesting. Babylon are going to move the game around in the same way that Russia did when work ethic was changed on the religion. When you could start producing Dance of the Aurora plus 18 holy sites with plus 18 production, and people went, oh man, Russia are really, really good. And every video was about it. I think this is going to be the same sort of revolutionary just change that Civ, I don't know if it needed, but it's certainly going to get. And yeah, I'm intrigued. Really intrigued as to how this is going to go. And finally, a very special shout out to Scott Stratton and Major King Kong for all of your help on Patreon, as well as everybody else who likes, subscribes, comments on videos, joins Discord. You guys keep me going. Thank you very much.